Formula One is, of course, the pinnacle of motorsports. Little kids start in karting, and they work their way towards it. And adults see it on TV, and they wonder what it's like.
We've done simple forms of racing, and of course, we've wondered, what's Formula One like?
Okay, so after karting, you start in Formula Fords just like this one, which is similar to the Spec Racer Fords that you and I have driven.
But then you've got to do Formula 3, Formula 2. This is a big jump, pretty similar to these Formula Atlantics.
And if you're feeling lucky, you get a chance to strap yourself in to a real F1 car. I'm feeling lucky.
I'm feeling quite daunted.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
TV, web, and podcast. This is Everyday Driver.
We're not convinced that anybody's ever driven all of these kinds of cars in succession, and we had to. Thanks to the Griot's boys, they gave us access to real Formula cars. Now, all three cars that we've got with us were built in the 1970s, if you can believe that. The design is timeless. A car that is lightweight, handles well, and goes really fast. That's a timeless recipe.
We're starting in a 1970 Formula Ford. Racers like Senna and Schumacher got their start right here.
It's tiny, weighing only 1,100 pounds, giving you 112 horsepower, 4 cylinders, and not much else.
So this is the beginning. This is the one step past karting. There's no downforce. It's not very powerful. My shoulders are sticking out. Todd's entire upper torso must be sticking out. There's zero protection in this car. It's the thinnest tube frame. It's like being up in the wind on a motorcycle. Your helmet starts to move around because there's so much air flowing by your head. My shoulders don't even fit in the car. The steering wheel. You ever buy a mini pan pizza? That's the steering wheel. Zero aerodynamic aids. You're just a missile. Third, back down to second. It's only a 4-speed, normal gearbox pattern. I'm really struggling with what gear is which because the throws are so tiny. It's barely even a wrist flick. It's like this to change a gear. And I keep getting the gears wrong. The inputs are so direct. And what's so amazing is you find yourself steering in and then staring at the suspension. I'm looking at the little amount of tire turn and I'm watching what it does to my line. I'm actually studying my line and my turn-in just by watching my front wheels. If you keep your momentum, keep your speed up, you can hang on to tons of speed in the corner. If it slides, it'll slide kind of all at once, very similar to a kart. You can easily lock up the rear. You can definitely get it wrong, but this feels like a learning platform, which of course is exactly what it is. It's progression. If I was better with the gears, I could hang on to my speed a lot better, because this is actually a fairly forgiving chassis. I can be a bonehead and not scare myself. Granted, fear will come. I'm feeling the track surface so much in this car. I'm feeling pieces of rubber that I run over. I'm amazed at how visceral, how incredible the sensations are for this car. Starting to have some fun now, starting to think about my lap times and my lines. That's when you know you're starting to dial it in. Granted, this is the beginning. This is welcome to being out of karts. But if you can start to master the position of this car on track and how it feels, and the dynamics, you'll be able to translate those skills to faster and faster cars. This definitely feels fast, but it also feels like a starting place.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Covercraft. Use the code EVERYDAY22 for 10% off your order.
Next on the road to F1 is this, a 1979 Formula Atlantic.
This series is similar to Formula 2. We now have 205 horsepower in a 1,300-pound car.
Slick tires, downforce. Two things we're not used to dealing with. Both are present here, but of course, you have to be bold. You have to push higher into the car to find those things, to use those things. In spite of the fact that I am strapped into a moving blanket onto the floor of the car in order to fit, this is special. This is a huge jump in performance. The specs would lead you astray. You wouldn't think that there's this level of performance in this car. But this is the feeder series for Formula One. But this car, not only is it significantly wider, it drives entirely differently. There's a whole other level of speed going on now. I'm barely into the second cam. Things have just gotten very serious. This is where it all comes together. That's fifth gear. But I can instantly feel moving to this car how much I know and how much I don't know, and how much I need to practice. This is not connected to whatever it is you drive every day. All the violence I struggled with in the Formula Ford is gone here because the bodywork is working for you. The downforce is sucking you into the road. You've got an F1 style seating position. I'm nearly laying down. Plus, if you're following along, I'm strapped to the floor because that seems like a good idea. I'm allowing myself to gradually get faster and faster and trust the car more and more. And when you do, new chapters are written. There's new revelations for what aerodynamics and slick tires can do. I'm loving this car now. Once heat gets into the brakes and the tires, it just comes to life. Turn in harder, brake later. Oh, it's dramatic. Full power. And my helmet is vibrating so much I can barely see. That's some serious speed right there. And as you get up on second cam, which reminds me of my Lotus, it screams at you, it's got more grip, it has more downforce. I keep thinking, oh, I'm near the edge of grip, and then my brain goes, no, you're nowhere near the edge of grip. Compared to the Formula Ford, this has got bubblegum for tires. The grip here is immense. The turn-in is almost violent. That much turn-in on the Formula Ford barely did anything. I'm breathing on the wheel here and it dives for the corner. The speed here is so easy. Let's go, let's go! Getting happy, I'm starting to yell. The car wants to go quickly. So when you go faster, it rewards you. It feels better, it feels more planted. This car grips so hard. I'm not even using half of what this car can do. The motions in driving this car are so small, but there's so much mechanical feedback. Because this is the era of cars right before everything got really digital and really electronic. What a spectacular car to drive. The dynamics of racing and the craft of driving are so amplified in this car.
It's a drug. Every other drug on the planet is weak in comparison to this. I don't care what you say. This is mine.
Starting to feel fast now. Who knows if it's really fast? The time does. For a few moments, time is irrelevant. I'm ageless. I'm fearless. I just want to do this more.
We've experienced racing, but this is now the true race car feel. And it's unlike anything you've ever driven. It's unlike anything I've ever driven. I want to keep going, but I cannot.
That is so cathartic. That is so good. I need that all the time. That's just the middle car.
I think with the proper seat and a bit of time, I would really grow to love this Atlantic. This feels like the level I want to be at. I'm very curious to see how the F1 car differs, because this feels like something I could work on for a long time, try to get good. And I love the level of speed. I love the accumulation of speed. For me, the Formula Atlantic feels like where it's at, which makes me wonder, oh my God, what's F1 like? Because this feels right, which means there's a whole other level above. We'll see if I cut out for it, because at the moment I am not convinced. I call that work. That's just so you know, that's a work day. The longer I was out, the longer I wanted to stay out. That's a rare reality in a car that's really hard. It's not that hard. And every lap was faster, and I kept thinking, I should go in. I really ought to go in. Paul needs to drive. And then I would think, you know what, I'm not going in yet. I'm out here, I'm having fun, I'm staying. If you ever made it to Formula 3, Formula 2, you'd want to go all the way. This is magic.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Griot's Garage. Use the code EDRIVER for 10% off your order.
Our road to F1 has gotten serious. This is the 1978 Walter Wolf F1 car.
This one was driven by Jody Scheckter, a real F1 champion. 1,500 pounds, 450 horsepower, and today it's driven by us.
Yes! There we go! This is F1! Welcome to the big leagues!
They had to take the seat out because apparently I'm huge. I'm not the size of any of these cars. That's the first problem. But the result is I'm sitting between the metal body panels of the car. So it's like I can feel the circulation. Oh my God, this car's alive. It has a pulse. You have got to be kidding me. I have a bit of a reach for the pedals more than the other cars. That has to do with wrangling some things to get me to fit.
And I have to admit that I had some trepidation. I was a little nervous going in.
The motor will not run under 5,000 RPM, okay?
But because we've spent time in the other race cars doing race schools, we've worked our way up now to F2. This is where everything came together.
And it wants to run. It's also, even though it's loud, the buzz is entirely different because we've doubled our cylinder count. The amount of power this makes is astounding, and I'm not even using half of it. And if you can believe it, the handling just got even better. The brakes just got better. What I love, though, is that the dynamics are very close to what the Atlantics are. This is just a whole lot more power.
After the Atlantic, this does feel like a natural step up. I was a little concerned about a step up like we had from the Formula Ford. But honestly, this feels like a natural progression. I'm not touching it, of course. You could do so much better than I'm doing. But the jump from the Atlantic is everything's been improved like 20-25% across the board, and you're just aware you can do more with it.
There's the power. Yes, that's the kind of power you want. You know what? The gearbox is so much better and the braking's so much better, there's even less intimidation.
It took me 2 laps to feel like, you know what, there is a pedal on the right, let's try it a bit. And then it got scarier in a fantastic way.
There's so much capability here. This is a serious car, and I am not serious enough. I'm a bit of a goofball. I am trying to step up to this car, and I am aware that I am not a professional racing driver. I can drive and I can talk, and not everybody can do that. But I cannot find the edges of this. I can't even explore the outer reach. This is beyond me as a driver, but the fun is not lost on me. The challenge is clear. Holy crap, this has grip.
There's a lot more power in this car. I wasn't even close to using 3/4 of it, but I was going very fast, and I could tell what this car can do. And this is the 70s.
There's just more tools to work with. Just think of it that way. I cannot believe that the turn-in and the feel of the race car got better than the Atlantic. I'm astounded at the jump now. Everything is far more intense. It's the comparison of a trop airplane compared to a jet. The world just comes at you so much faster, but guess what? When you're driving this car, you want it to come at you faster. Bring it on, I say. This car is brilliant. When we talk about comparing a car's handling and car performance to Formula One, this is what I want cars to feel like.
We've stepped up quite a ways from the Atlantic without being at a place where I don't get what's going on. I get what's going on, it's just I'm gonna have to ramp it up quite a bit.
The grip is unbelievable. It's still another level beyond the Atlantic. I am utterly electrified by this car. Everything it's doing, I feel like I can feel the fluids flowing through it. Can you imagine being on track with nearly 20 other guys, driving this thing as hard as you can? I'm doing a parade lap compared to their speeds.
About halfway through my session, I felt at home.
What incredible control over driving.
And I want more time, and I barely fit, and it's not my car.
I am just astonished that I got to do this, to feel these speeds, to feel this progression, and it lets me know how much above anything I've driven. The Formula One guys are just operating at a whole other level.
I got the checkered flag thrown at me. That just means my session's over, but that feels pretty dang special. I'm overwhelmed with joy. This is real Formula One. This feeling is the real deal. It doesn't matter what era it's from.
And it's so incredible to go from car to car to car to really feel power differences and what real handling feels like. That's F1.
Even with us behind the wheel, the F1 car lapped 15 seconds faster than the Formula Ford.
I would like to say how happy I am that we're okay and the cars are okay.
The cars are fine. They went probably the slowest they've ever been.
Maybe.
Certainly that one.
Yeah,
Nevertheless,
definitely. Yes.
of all the comparisons that we've done, this is my favorite by far.
This was not exactly
How
a
could
tough
it not
day at
be?
work. This was pretty great. I can't believe we got to do this. I'm still deciding if I'm okay with the fact that
This
I drove
is a
that.
real F1
It's
car. This is a new
unbelievable.
level. And by the way,
Yes.
this is peak 1970s.
This is bell bottoms and racing.